move the ball as well against Orange as we've seen any team do it consistently all year long. There haven't been many times where Orange has been on the receiving end of a 12-play drive, but that's exactly what happened. Cedar Ridge went down the field, drove very successfully, got it all the way to the Orange 10-yard line, so it was a 57-yard drive, but the 3rd down and 6 play, make it 3rd and 9 play, wound up being an incomplete pass. So onto the field came Trent Gill for a 27-yard field goal. He made that one with 1:10 remaining in the first half. It was a 6-3 game at that point, and Orange ended the half with Jackson Schmid throwing an interception. It was picked off by Kevin Wright Jr., and you had the feeling that Cedar Ridge could really turn this into a contest if they came up with a solid next drive. They had the ball with a chance to take the lead against Orange going into the second quarter, but at the very end of the first quarter, Peyton Wilson sacked John Williams, who went on a reverse pass. Williams was sacked for a loss of 7, and then on the first play of the second quarter, Phil Berger threw a pass right to Peyton Wilson, who returned it 46 yards for a score. The try for 2, naturally, converted by Peyton Wilson with 11:53 remaining. Orange led at that point 14-3. Cedar Ridge went 3 and out on its next drive, and then Orange wound up getting a big gainer from Marvante Beasley, a 75-yard run on the second play from scrimmage. The extra point by McKinley made it 21-3. Cedar Ridge drove to the Orange 44 before having to punt it away with 6:16 remaining. And then Orange again struck on its second play on the next drive after a 1-yard run by Morgan Pascal. It was Jackson Schmid throwing to an open Cody Evans, who escaped a would-be tackler, ran 79 yards down the field. Cody Evans winds up scoring. He scored in back-to-back weeks now. And on the season, Cody has 5 touchdowns now of the year. Orange, after the extra point by McKinley, made it 28-3. After that, an interception by Eli Haithcock. Orange couldn't turn that into points. However, the Panthers would get one final touchdown on its last drive as they went down the field. 78 yards. Jackson Schmid had a 23-yard pass to Cody Evans. He ran for 16 yards himself, and then he would throw to Peyton Wilson. And Peyton is just a huge weapon. 6'4", launched himself up in the air, made the catch over a Cedar Ridge player who actually still had the ball as Peyton came down to the turf with a 39-yard touchdown pass. Wilson had a receiving touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and an interception for a touchdown. The Panthers lead 35-3 here at the half. I want to remind you next week we'll be over at Orange High once again, over at Almond Stadium for Chapel Hill versus Orange. And the Red Wolves will be back in action as well next week. Cedar Ridge will try to come back and make a game out of this one, but they'll make a road trip next week to Webb, the final conference game between those two teams for quite some time. We'll be on the air with Orange versus Chapel Hill next week right here on HillsboroSports.com. And we remind you that we have lots more coming up as well throughout the season. We'll trace Orange into the playoffs, and we'll also have coverage of Orange and Cedar Ridge basketball, both boys and girls, throughout the winter, so we hope you join us for that as well. And you can hear our podcast anytime you want. It's available on the website, HillsboroSports.com. It's Prep Sports Tonight. This week we talked with Stone Edwards and Marvante Beasley of Orange, and we also talked to London Saunders and Shamar Miles for Cedar Ridge. So that's up and available right now. Also, congratulations to a group of players. First of all, Serena Sowers and Kate Milner from Cedar Ridge High School. They are the Big 8 doubles champions. The Big 8 tournament was held in girls tennis this past week, and Milner and Sowers defeated 2 players actually from Cedar Ridge in the championship match. Leah Thompson wound up making the championship match, and she wound up competing against 2 of her teammates in the championship match. She and Elena Martz wound up competing against the aforementioned Milner and Sowers, and they took home the Big 8 Doubles Championship. Also, want to congratulate Faith Peoples from Northwood High School, who is the Big 8 Girls Tennis Singles Champion for this year. She defeated her own teammate, Sam Sparrow, on Wednesday night over at Orange High Tennis Courts. Again, the halftime score, it's 35-3. Orange leading Cedar Ridge. Will come back with more high school football coverage. Second half kickoff on the way on HillsboroSports.com.
The Carolina Hilltopper Foundation is helping to expand the game of lacrosse in North Carolina. Through their efforts, several local middle school programs have been able to join the lacrosse world, and travel teams have produced 8 Division I players and many Division II and III players, including several Orange and Cedar Ridge players enjoying successful collegiate careers. The fall season isn't far away. To register, visit hilltopperlax.com.
Our vehicles wind up in accidents from time to time, but where should you go if the exterior of your vehicle is damaged? Look no further than the folks over at Cardin's Body and Paint Shop, located at Highway 157 in Caldwell. For over 30 years, William, Greg, John, and Dennis have been taking care of the people in Caldwell and their vehicles whenever they've been caught up in a fender bender. So contact the folks at Cardin's Body and Paint Shop if your car winds up in an accident. Call 919-732-6611. That's 919-732-6611.
The Deer Pushers Association of America is a group dedicated to raise funds in support of educational programs, wildlife habitat enhancement and acquisition, and the preservation of the shooting sports and hunting tradition for future generations. They serve Northern Orange, Southern Person, and all of Central North Carolina. To learn more about the Deer Pushers Association of America, contact Skinny Laws or Seth King directly. The Deer Pushers Association of America, killing tomorrow's trophies today.
Count on the experts at Goss Pump Specialists for all your filtration system and well pump installation needs. Goss Pump Specialists has been serving Durham and surrounding areas for over 65 years. They install all types of well pumps and filters, including reverse osmosis systems. They also sell, install, and service a complete line of quality water softening and conditioning equipment, including chemical-free filters. Mention this ad, and you'll get $50 off your next project. Call Goss Pump Specialist at 919-477-3222. That's 919-477-3222. Or go online at gosswellpumpspecialist.com.
Orange leading Cedar Ridge at the half here at 35-3. Jeff Hamlin here with you on HillsboroSports.com. We thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Looking at the first half statistics, first of all for Orange, Marvante Beasley has a 143-yard half. Keep in mind, Marvante's career high is 196 against Southern Durham, and he got that on 11 carries. Of course, the bulk of that 74-yard touchdown run that made it a 21-3 game. Beasley with those 143 yards, and then you have Peyton Wilson with 16 yards, Jackson Schmidt with 16 yards, Morgan Pascal has 9 yards on 4 carries. Jackson Schmidt was 3 of 8 for 141 yards, so Orange in the half with nearly 300 yards total offense. Very solid half for the Panthers offensively against the Cedar Ridge defense that had been improving week in and week out. Meanwhile, for Cedar Ridge, they wound up with London Saunders working hard, getting 54 yards on 10 carries. Shamar Miles had 7 carries for 19 yards. And then it was 43 Monte Key carrying the ball in that critical 4th down play that set up Cedar Ridge's only points of the first half when they went for it on 4th and 1 in their own territory. He got 4 yards out of that. Also, Seth Baldwin came away with 1 carry for 1 yard. And then you had Phil Berger carrying the ball for 4 yards on 2 carries. Berger was 1 of 7 in the first half with 2 interceptions. His only completion was to number 7, Seth Baldwin. Actually, he had another completion in there as well, so that's not correct. He's 2 of 8. I'll look back up here and see where he got that pass. It was to 15. That's who it was. Should have known that. It's my mistake there. It was number 5, actually, Aiden Poole, who caught that one. So it was actually 2 of 8 for 23 yards for Cedar Ridge. And good news for Cedar Ridge, if there are moral victories, and I know that certainly Coach Luce Moore is not looking for that, but right now they're on pace to get over 200 yards against Orange, and Orange has only given up over 200 yards once this year. That was to Western Guilford. And we're checking here, and we make use of whatever contraptions we can get our hands on here in the press box, and totaling up these stats here, 4 and 4, 15 and 8, 104, and then you take away 7 on a sack for Williams there. So right now, 96 yards total offense for Cedar Ridge. And now keep in mind, Orange has held 6 opponents this year to under 100 yards. Cedar Ridge has 96 at the half. But Orange was impressive offensively in the first half. Again, arguably their best half of the year. You have to remember when they beat Southern Durham 49-7, Orange got 21 points in that game off of defensive touchdowns or special teams touchdowns. Peyton Wilson returned 2 punts for scores, and then you had that pick 6 by Rodney Brooks. The offense was good, but it wasn't great. It wasn't as efficient as it was throughout this first half of play. And this comes after Orange was very, very sluggish in the first halves of games against Northwood and against Northern Vance, where they were shut out in the first half of both those games. Here tonight, Orange put up 35 in the first half, 29 points in the last 11 minutes and 53 seconds. So Francisco McKinley for Orange will kick off the Cedar Ridge right to left, and we're underway with the second half. This is another short sky kick. It is bobbled right into the arms of a Cedar Ridge player, and he fights out to about the 32-yard line. That went off the hands of Seth Baldwin, and it looked like it fell into the hands of Shamar Miles, who returned it a couple of yards before the tackle was made by Devondres Moore. Orange leading 35-3. Cedar Ridge will try to avoid a running clock. Has to be a 42-point differential for a running clock to be activated here. Cedar Ridge has it at their 32. It'll be 1st and 10. Phil Berger was 2 of 8 for 23 yards in the first half. One back, and Cedar Ridge shifting to a passing style offense here, it would appear. Now they bring back a couple of backs. Handoff will go to Saunders, who'll fight out to the right, and he ventures ahead to about the 35. So London Saunders, the 5'10 senior who's rushed for 490 yards this season. He's also the leading receiver on this team. He's caught 14 balls for 147 yards. He gets 3 here to make it 2nd down and 7. Saunders, with his 11th carry of the game, he's now got 57 yards on the night. Cedar Ridge going left to right, and their black uniforms with burgundy numbers and white helmets. Wishbone set up, Miles in motion. Berger will hand it off, now pulls it back, goes around left guard, and is trampled. Had no chance at all as the line around the right side. Tyler Daniel trying to push back Noah Rogers, but there was only so much he could do, and Berger wound up getting a yard out of that. So it'll be 3rd down and 6 as the ball advanced to the 36. Cedar Ridge converted 2 third downs in the first half and a 4th down. They'll line up with 3 wide receivers to the right. They have Aiden Poole to the right. Berger will flip it out. It goes over to Miles, who drags a Panther with him over the 40, and Shamar Miles running hard. Boy, that was some hard, tough nose running by Shamar Miles, who actually dragged Devondres Moore. You don't see Devondres drug up the field very much, but there he was, and it was a good carry by Miles out for the 1st down. Got to the 42-yard line got exactly what he needed to move the